Welcome to Ink Root Echoes. This is the audio home for the reflections and studio notes of author Misty Hamilton Smith. These are the quiet shifts in the work and the internal weather that happens between the stories. Most creative lives run on two tracks, and only one of them makes for easy conversation. The surface layer holds the updates people ask about at dinner, the polite progress reports that satisfy without revealing anything. That layer rarely gets language. It sits below the ribs, private without being secretive, present without performing. And it carries a project from its first uncertain moment to whatever it finally becomes. Every maker learns early that the public version of a project is only a sliver. You can describe progress, outline goals, or share a glimpse of what you hope the work will become. But none of that touches the internal weight that gathers as the project deepens. It is the steady pressure of knowing you are shaping something that did not exist before. Most of the tension lives in the gap between what you can articulate and what you are still trying to understand. Ideas rarely arrive fully formed. They arrive as questions, impulses, half-clear images that need time to settle. While they settle, you protect them. You speak around them. You offer only the parts that feel sturdy enough to hold up under someone else's interpretation. Because early work is fragile and deserves shelter. Creative tension also grows from the private negotiations you make with yourself. You want the work to be honest, but honesty requires a clarity that takes time to reach. You want the structure to feel inevitable, but inevitability only surfaces after you have tried every path that did not work. You want the language to feel lived in, but lived-in language emerges slowly, long after you have sat with the material long enough for it to reveal its shape. None of this is visible from the outside. Some days the tension feels like a quiet pull at the back of the mind. Other days you carry it in your shoulders. You move through ordinary tasks while part of you stays anchored to the project, replaying a sentence while washing dishes, testing a structural shift on a long drive, reconsidering a character's motivation while folding laundry. The work follows you, not as an intrusion, but as a companion that refuses to be set down. There is also the moment when a project begins to change you. You start with one intention, then discover the work is asking for something you did not plan to give. It pushes you toward assumptions you did not know you were holding. It asks for patience when you want speed, humility when you want certainty, courage when you want comfort. Writers rarely discuss this part, because it is difficult to describe without sounding dramatic. Yet it is one of the most honest parts of making anything real. As the project evolves, the private tension shifts. Early on, it comes from uncertainty. Later, it comes from responsibility. You begin to understand what the work wants to become, and that understanding carries its own weight. You feel accountable to the idea, to the people who might one day read it, to the version of yourself who believed it was worth starting. That accountability is not pressure in the negative sense. It is devotion. It keeps you returning to the page even when the page resists you. There is a point in every project when the gap between the public version and the private one widens past describing. You can share progress, but progress is only one part of the truth. The deeper truth is that the work has become a landscape you inhabit. You know its terrain, its difficult corners, where it still needs excavating, and where it has already surprised you. None of that fits neatly into conversation. Eventually, the tension begins to ease. The structure settles. The language finds its rhythm. Questions that once felt sharp begin to soften. You can sense the project moving toward completion, not all at once, but gradually, the way a tide pulls back from shore. You no longer need to protect the work in the same way. You can speak about it without feeling exposed. You can share it without the sensation of handing over something unfinished. Completion brings its own quiet reckoning. You look back at the path and recognize how much of it happened in silence. The early uncertainty, the private negotiations, the long hours trying to understand what the work was asking of you, the moments when you doubted the project, the moments when the project steadied you. None of that appears in the final version, but it is woven into every line. The part of the work you do not talk about is not a hidden chamber. It is the interior life of creation, the space where you wrestle with the questions that shape the piece and the questions that shape you. It holds everything together until the work is ready to stand on its own. You do not talk about it because it cannot be summarized. It can only be lived. Thank you for listening to this session of Ink Root Echoes. Today's reflection was narrated by Julie using the words of Misty Hamilton Smith. If these notes steady your own work, I invite you to join the deeper conversation at inkroot and moonlight.com. Until next time, keep to the quiet of the work.